At 29 years old, the Vancouver filmmaker was told he only had months left to live. But instead of putting the camera down, he turned the lens on himself.
I can't believe how fast it's coming out.
I gotta tell this story. This is the story of time and what it does to you.
Please don't touch the camera. That's assault. Talk to us about this.
I don't need to talk to you.
Can you have me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Staying alive in 3, 2.
Good evening and welcome to 16 by 9, The Bigger Picture. I'm Mary Garafello. Dan Northcott was living his dream, traveling the world, videotaping his exciting life, and life couldn't have been any better. But then something horrible happened. Our Carolyn Jarvis has his courageous and heart-wrenching story.
I always wanted to be a filmmaker. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do. Like 3 years old, that's what I wanted to do.
For 10 years, Dan Northcott's life was lived out of a suitcase and recorded on tape.
Traveling was in me then, and that was it.
You had the bug.
Oh, I had the bug. Have the bug, yeah.
By 29, he had seen the Mayan ruins, lived among millions in Taiwan, and studied the history of the Middle East. It was all part of a documentary Dan was creating about the roots of our ancestry.
Syria. Syria. Very good.
Syria.
Nice gun.
But it was the scene Dan started taping in early July. No one could have seen coming, least of all him.
I was getting, golf ball glands. I was just running out of my nose, fevers, and just sick every week, a new symptom.
Dan was still in Taiwan at the time. When he caught a bug, he just couldn't shake.
It just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
So he caught a flight home to Vancouver, thinking he could sleep it off. But by the time he landed, Dan could barely walk.
And when I got off that plane, I was green. I stepped off the plane, my mother did not recognize me. My sister said, "I think that's him." My mom said, "No, that's not him." And I got up to them and my mom almost burst into tears and they said, "What's wrong with you?"
He was rushed to the hospital and within 24 hours was diagnosed with leukemia.
That was really gutting. That was gutting. I've never experienced anything as terrifying as that moment for sure, because I had so many plans for the future. I had so many places I was gonna go and people I was gonna see, and I was so excited about the year ahead.
The news rocked his entire family. Dan's mom, Tanya, was walking through a parking lot when her phone rang.
When he said leukemia, I just kind of spun onto the tarmac of the parking lot. You don't know at that point, is this serious? Is it, maybe there's all different kinds of leukemia. Maybe this is going to be okay.
But the prognosis wasn't good. A 35% chance of survival with one heck of a fight ahead. But instead of putting down the camera, Dan started rolling on an entirely different film.
That was the first thing that I felt was like, no, I gotta tell this story. This is the story.
And so the camera was there when Dan was admitted to hospital only days later. And it was there as his energy was stripped away through 3 grueling rounds of chemo.
It's really coming out.
It is?
Yeah. Look good in my Oh my gosh. I can't believe how fast it's coming out. This is falling off my head.
For a man who had visited 40 countries, Dan knew there was no guidebook for the place he was in now. And so for others who would follow, he mapped it out on tape. Life became a series of daily examinations, constant prodding, and invasive procedures, anything to ward off the cancer.
So here's the thing, okay? We're going to be together. We're going to be together.
For 3 long months, doctors looked for any sign the barrage of chemicals was working, but it wasn't. And after exhausting all conventional options, they had to tell him the leukemia was terminal. And even that heart-wrenching moment was captured on tape.
The average person would live about 3 to 6 months. This is obviously not the news you want to hear, but I don't think the final story's been written here. Yeah.
Reality no one wanted to accept. And again, the camera recorded the most intimate moment between mother and son, a moment almost too difficult to watch.
I'll be okay.
I don't know if I could stand being away from you, Dan.
Oh, it's so fast.
Well, we've got this.
It's so fast.
29 years old, with only months left to live, and yet Dan kept rolling. What's been the hardest part for you?
Not seeing Dan enough, not getting to touch him. Every time he takes off and he's doing his filming, I want to run down the road after him and get in the car. I don't want to be away from him. I love him very much, but yeah.
But Dan doesn't think he's dying. He's convinced he's going to bring about a very rare phenomenon called spontaneous remission.
Well, you have to understand, from my perspective, I don't have leukemia or terminal leukemia.
But you do.
That's what the doctors would call the state that my body's in, but that's not my belief.
But so you don't think you have leukemia? Full stop?
Full stop. I will not believe that I have a terminal illness.
The concept is that Dan can take control of his own healing using the power of the mind, proper diet, and exercise. Spontaneous remissions have been documented, but they are truly the exception to the rule. Dr. Janice Wright from the Inspire Health Cancer Clinic.
There's a branch of science called psychoneuroimmunology, and this is the scientists who study the relationship between mind, body, and immune system. And truly, we are just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of understanding that relationship.
And so Dan now takes 40 to 60 herbal pills a day and has stopped going for checkups.
Bearable.
I like to have my own kind of fun, you know? I like to run through the forest and get completely lost. That's like my kind of fun. That's my game. That's pretty cool.
At face value, he looks completely healthy. He's active, his hair has regrown, and he says he's feeling better than ever.
But how can you deny that you've got leukemia in the first place, whether or not it's terminal?
Well, I don't deny that my body's in a state that reads as leukemia. I'm just not giving them the power to, affect my destiny.
Some may call it delusional, others an acceptance of a different reality.
Here's the thing. The whole family's in denial. Okay? We're officially in denial, consciously and intentionally in denial.
Dan simply says he's too busy to die.
It's not a fear of death that keeps me wanting to live. It's what's ahead is more exciting. I want to be here. I love this earth.
And so Dan will keep the cameras rolling, determined to write his own ending to this movie and send his message to others.
No, this is a gift. This is a blessing.
Why?
Because people are going to see my film and they're going to hear what I have to say. And it's more important than anything to me. It's what I prepared my whole life for.
What if you don't live?
Well, I plan on it. I'm not considering that an option. But if I didn't, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, my film's there. That's real. Time can take away a lot of things, but it can't take that.
And that's it for us tonight. If you have a story idea for us, just give us a call at 1-877-TEL-169 or email us at global16by9.com. And don't forget to blog with us right after the broadcast about any of the stories you saw tonight. And now you can even send us a video message on Facebook or YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'm Mary Garafello, and from all of us here, good night.
Our final word tonight goes to our 16 by 9 viewers.
Thank you. Finally, Canada has an investigative reporting team that's doing their job. Accurate, to the point, no fluff. 16 by 9, I love you.
16 by 9, the bigger picture.